Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Bitcoin is back in the spotlight. My friends, Bitcoin is back in the spotlight. And we need to take a look. I still got all these Webbot reports saved. And remember the one-off Webbot report Cliff High did in January, which he graciously allowed me to read in full shortly thereafter. Talks about the price moves of Bitcoin as some of the other reports have and have been spot on. But I think next stop, first of all, approximately I think $1,150 or so, somewhere around there, is all-time high for Bitcoin. So we're inches away from that. It's like $1,126 right now, $1,126. So I thought, well, I remember the Webbot talking about this, of course, and it was going to run through like 1,000 and something. What was that number? And then 1,400 was the next stop, and then after that would be like somewhere around 2,300, and then there'd be a pullback, and then it would go up again. So it did say the 888. It's going to do this dithering back and forth, up, down, 888. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, again, crocodile teeth pattern. It did exactly that. It's done everything that it pretty much, that Bitcoin has done everything that the Webbot said it would, which is fascinating. And I'll be the first to admit and say, man, do I wish the timing with the prediction of precious metals was as accurate, even close, as it is for Bitcoin. But nonetheless, and I can't sit here and tell you why the Webbot is incredibly accurate with the price movements of Bitcoin, but not accurate with the moves of gold and silver. Although the data is very clear, we're going to see astronomical prices for gold and silver that are going to shock everybody. The timing, there's no definitive time frame for this. But he did say last year, December and January, as we got into January of this year, that around the early part of February, he named a few days, specific days, where he talked about, first of all, Bitcoin's going to do this movement upward. After it does that movement upward, we see this 888 thing, then go to $1,000 and all that with Bitcoin. Gold and silver would be pressuring up with it. We have absolutely seen gold and silver going up with it. We are now firmly like this $18 range, and the club, again, is trying desperately to stop this $18 range for silver, and it keeps breaking past it. So I want to look at the Webbot report, the one that was like really focused on Bitcoin and silver, to see where are we going next, potentially with Bitcoin, and as a matter of fact, possibly gold and silver. I'm not reading this whole report again. I'm just going to go to an area where, just before it starts talking about the moves. The data accruing to model space would suggest that much of the announcements around the new Chinese Central Authority's plans will be early to mid-summer, Northern Hemisphere. The data sets have the impacts on Bitcoin being very substantial by the point of the announcement. It may also be that this announcement contains language about reserve currency status for Bitcoin within the Chinese banking system. There are a number of sets that are describing the Chinese Central Authorities as riding the Bitcoin dragon, as they, the central planners, will have an understanding that a new force has emerged that can be intimately tied to individual citizens. The idea coming across is that if all China Pop and virtual Asia Pop has Bitcoin, and it is the Chinese Central Bank reserve, then every person is a stakeholder or invested in the health of the society and its financial institutions that are Bitcoin-based. Our data sets have the Chinese Central Authorities in a period of about 4 months of cleanup as they decriminalize the Bitcoin infrastructure in China. Over this time, the data sets have various bouts of price swings, first downward, then snapbacks or spring ups to fill the gaps. These sets are indicating that some of the price drops and swings will be 20+% and will occur in less than a week. My friends, we've seen this. Excuse me. We've seen this. And I realize we're 2 months into this year. And I know he talked about, and he didn't say the first 4 months, but he just said about 4 months, a period of about 4 months of cleanup as they decriminalized the Bitcoin infrastructure. What have we been seeing in China? The central authorities knocking that exchange down. You need to change the rules. That you're letting people over leverage. Nope, knock that down. Oh, Bitcoin price drops, then it goes right back up. Okay, then another problem. We can't do that over there. Nope, those exchanges. Yep. Okay, now we're gonna start charging fees because we didn't charge fees before. Start charging fees. Government wants us to charge fees, right? This has already happened this year, and again, we're only 2 months into this year. So this, what I just read you, appears to be, not shockingly, surprising because it's always accurate with this, but again, it's not surprisingly accurate. Why is it not surprising? Because the freaking webbot is incredibly accurate with Bitcoin. Longer term data for Bitcoin from these past 5 years has indicated that prices would be escalating to 80,808 won or renminbi per coin. Further language within the longer-term sets over these past few years has been clearly forecasting a China home for Bitcoin in the 2020s, as in the year 2020s. Supporting sets for the China home set have forecast the steady stream of what we will term China pop or Chinese population buyers over 2015 and 2016, leading to a near-term coincident shift of the majority of Bitcoin owners now speaking Chinese, and a rise in the price per Bitcoin to 8,888 won. Both have been manifest in these last few weeks as part of the dither language within our processing for this period of price action for Bitcoin. The data has held that 8888 won per coin would be revisited, just as $888 USD would be the focus of the dither language. That too has absolutely happened as far as the USD. So they're saying 8,888 won per Bitcoin. So USD to won, it's about 6.8 times. So if we have 8888 Chinese yuan, that's $1,291 US. So it's coming soon, and I don't think that's clearly not far out there because we're already at 1226 or 1126 or so. So again, for clarity, those sets of our data that had 888 USD as being dithering period after breaching 1130 and falling back off the stair also have supporting sets saying that when the dither is done, that the next pause would be at the 8888 won per coin. So the next pause, as it said, 1130 and then falling back. We did have, remember, not that long ago, it did hit in the 1100s, around 1130, dropped back down. It was sub 1,000 for a little bit. Again, Chinese authorities, I said, don't worry about it. Nonsense, doesn't matter, it's going back up. Why? Because Webbot said so. This is a fact. It went right back up. We're back into the 1130s again right now, 1126. So 888, again, if the conversion says 1,291 US dollars, then it looks like the next stop is 1291, or apparently somewhere around there, where it does some more dithering back and forth, just like it did with 888. And then, as I'm about to read you, I think 1,400 something is coming next. So, please note that the time period that Bitcoin spent around $888 on the run-up to 1,130 was indicated within the data to be about half of the total dither time. The interpretation has been that nearly the same period would be spent at 888 before gathering strength for the walk past the gate. The total of these two time periods should be examined by traders, as that sum will be used to define our dither language. The dither language sets has many instances of appearance as we progress model space through 2017. The use of this timing is apparently to be important in the developing Bitcoin pricing movements. Further, there are suggestions from supporting sets that the dither language points are to be coincident with currency's crisis inflection points for markets other than Bitcoin. The walk through the gate language is the data describing the relatively swift and easy passing of Bitcoin from dither to past $1,088, which I think as of yesterday, which technically you from the day you're hearing this 2 days ago, it was in that area 1088, 1090, 1091, which is what prompted me to send myself an email and hey, time to do a video, which is why I'm doing it now, which is the day before you see this. All right. So, the walk through the gate language is the data describing the relatively swift and easy passing of Bitcoin from dither to past 1088 US dollars, which has been recently defined within the data as being a gate and not a fence. Further sets within the dither supporting linguistics have the next USD focal point for increasing talk on the street, or media blast at USD 1448. So these sets are cross-linked in our system to these sets for 8888 Chinese yuan, renminbi. The implication in the data is that the brief pause at 8888 yuan is temporally linked or connected to the opening the gate of 1088 USD. Within our most recent processing, and again, this is actually from the middle of January. I'm just rereading you this. This is not recent. Within our most recent processing, as of the release of this report, the new data sets have the pricing movement after 1088 USD to be striding toward 1448. When we view the supporting sets for the striding language, they're indicators for a major policy shift within the Chinese central authorities, government, or officialdom that will be growing in the background over these next few months, yet nonetheless having price impacts. That is precisely what has been happening. The Chinese central authorities within our data sets are forecast as changing their minds in an attempt to get ahead of Bitcoin as it makes its way through the collective mind of China Pop. This change of heart language for China Pop is a larger echo of what we had for the years as supporting linguistics for the government of Russia to change their stance on Bitcoin, that the Russian government has indeed visibly changed their approach to Bitcoin, provides increasing confidence in the similar forecast for Chinese government now rising. The striding language for Bitcoin is temporally coincident with the appearance of sets for silver and gold that also have dramatic language. There has been a very long-term link between $1,000 Bitcoin and a silver price rise that would include gaps in pricing, which would begin at $2 a day for silver, to be followed by $5 a day moves in the silver market, and then within mere weeks, $20 day moves for silver. This is still in the data, and this is some old stuff. Let me explain something to you real quick. When this stuff was in the data with silver, $5 day moves, $20 day moves, which, matter of fact, before I even get into that, let me just finish reading this paragraph because that way I don't have to bounce back and forth. So $5 followed by $20. These, per day moves. These longer term sets were supporting a major silver set that included $600 per ounce, as well as the start of the restructuring to natural of the silver to gold ratio, which means 70 to 1 nowadays becomes 20 to 1, 16 to 1, somewhere around there. Within the $600 sets are also references to 20,000 Dow Jones. Okay, that's interesting. Within the $600 silver sets, data sets, are also references to 20,000 Dow, which we have now finally breached. Further supporting sets for silver within these linguistic structures contain language for silver to gold parity insofar as price. So what the hell does that mean? 5,000 gold and 5,000 silver temporarily or something for some reason? These sets have also supporting sets for a giant, super high-tech industrial demand for silver that will propel both price and civilization over the 2020s. These forecasts have long been in the public domain. So when this was written, as we are now at that point in time where we approach 20,000 Dow, yada, 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 we didn't hit 20,000 Dow by the time this report came out. We were close, and now we were there. Not to say that I'm expecting all of a sudden in the extreme near future a $20 move in silver or a $600 move. No. I'm not saying that. What I was going to say, though, before I read that last paragraph, was that when the Boybot was talking about this particular meme, if you will, this data with silver, $5, $20 moves, all that, $600 price, there was no such thing as Bitcoin. When this type of data was first showing up in the Webbot reports, let me say that again, there was no such thing as Bitcoin. And now that Bitcoin is around, and it's now picking up on this and has been for at least 2 years, and has correctly predicted the price movements with unbelievable accuracy, both price and timing of Bitcoin, it's now saying there's an attachment at some level here between all those old forecasts of $20 move silver, $5 move silver, and $600 price point that's in relation with Bitcoin. So the fact that it is accurately tracking Bitcoin, time-wise and price-wise, we may be near the point, and near could mean, I don't know if I should say this year, but I'll start by saying maybe this year. Probably not a chance in hell, but I'll say starting this year, next year, 2019, 2020. I mean, sometime in the near future, not so distant future, we may see this coming. And again, when you have a guy like Trump, who the establishment can't stand, and they realize we're losing on every front now. CNN, fake news, got guests coming on calling them fake news, and they just shut them off. All right, we're leaving, go to commercial. They can't even take it anymore. They don't know what to do with themselves. This guy stepping down, CIA stepping down, 7th floor shadow government group, State Department, you're fired. He is draining the swamp. So they are realizing, oh my God, everything we worked decades and centuries to put together, this freaking man is dismantling. What are we going to do? If he doesn't want to join the New World Order, I guess we're going to show him what happens to countries that don't join. And then all of a sudden, boom, currency crisis, market crisis, gold and silver explode, Bitcoin explode. It's not going to be a good thing if Bitcoin and precious metals explode. Let me be upfront. It's not going to be a good thing for the world. But it will be a very good thing for JSNIP4 and his subscribers. Okay? Let me just say that. But I will also say, like I've said before, I would give up every little Bitcoin, silver, whatever I own if we could just stop what we know is coming. Bubble, debt, currency crisis, paper fiat. I'd give it all up in a hurry. And I'd even go so far as if I had the power to steal all of your precious metals and put it in the pile to give to whoever the hell needs it, the silver god, to make this not come true. And I would do it, whether you liked it or not, to save humanity, all right? But in all seriousness, that's not going to happen. History repeats, and protection is protection. Precious metals is protection. Webbot has been phenomenally accurate with this stuff, with the Bitcoin. So I had to do this video because we've now breached an important number that the Webbot said to watch, 1088. We've breached it. Next stop, apparently, it's going to be around 1291, which if the exchange rates stay where they are right now with China, the yuan and versus the US dollar, $1,291 US dollars worth of Bitcoin equals 8,888 or quadruple eights in the Chinese currency. So that'll be the second stop, I should say. So we're looking for, which we've already have it, 1091 or 1088. Excuse me. We're past that. Next stop should be 1291. Remember, for the Chinese thing, and then apparently after that will be the 1400 and what was that number? 1448. So 1088 was one, striding toward 1448 is what it says, striding towards that. So anyways, just keep your eye on that. That's all I want. That's how I want to start the videos today, because it needs to be said. Webbot is on fire. Thank you. Take care.